103 years. I have outlived 4 presidents, 2 husbands, and every single doctor who ever told me what not to eat. Every last one of them is gone. And I am still here, still in my own kitchen, still cooking my own food. So maybe it is time you listen to me instead. My name is Eleanor, and I want to be clear about something before we start. I am not a nutritionist. I do not have a degree hanging on any wall. What I have is 103 years of evidence, 103 years of mornings, 103 years of meals, and I have watched enough people go too early to know the difference between food that builds you and food that slowly takes you apart. They will try to sell you something after this video, some powder, some program, some pill that promises you what I have. Save your money. What I eat costs almost nothing, and most of it has been on this earth longer than any laboratory that ever studied it. I have 7 foods, 7 things I have eaten my whole life, and I am going to tell you exactly what they are and exactly why they matter. Not in scientific language, in plain English. The kind my mother used when she taught me to cook in a kitchen with no running water in rural Tennessee in 1930-something. Number 1, bone broth, not the kind in a carton at the grocery store. The real kind, the kind you make yourself by putting bones in a pot with water and a little vinegar and walking away for 12 hours. My mother made it. Her mother made it. We called it pot liquor, and we drank it from a cup like tea, and nobody thought anything of it because it was just what you did with bones after a meal. What is in that broth is everything your body uses to hold itself together. Collagen for your joints, minerals your bones need, glycine, which is something your gut lining uses to repair itself every single night while you sleep. I have had a cup of bone broth almost every evening of my adult life, and my joints at 103 are better than my neighbor's at 71. She thinks I am exaggerating. I am not exaggerating. They started selling it in stores a few years ago for $8 a carton and calling it a superfood. It is not a superfood. It is just food. It has always been food. We just forgot. Number 2, eggs. The whole egg, yolk included. Do not come to me with that egg white nonsense. For 50 years, they frightened people away from the yolk and told them it would clog their hearts. A whole generation grew up afraid of the most complete food that exists in nature, afraid of something a chicken makes every single day without a pharmacy involved. The yolk is where everything lives. The choline your brain needs to think clearly. The lutein your eyes need to stay sharp. The fat your cells use to build their walls. I eat 2 eggs every morning, fried in butter, not margarine, butter, real butter from a real cow. I have done this since I was old enough to stand at a stove, and I intend to keep doing it until I cannot stand anymore. My last doctor, rest his soul, told me at my checkup when I was 96 that my cholesterol numbers were, and I am quoting him directly here, inexplicably good. I told him it was the eggs. He wrote something in his chart and changed the subject. Number 3, sardines. I know. I hear you making that face. My grandchildren make the same face. But sit down and listen because this one matters. Where I grew up, we did not have much, but we had sardines in a can and we ate them without apology because they were cheap and filling, and my mother said they were good for you. Turns out my mother was right, as mothers usually are about these things. Your brain is made of fat, 60% fat, and it needs a specific kind of fat to function properly, the kind found in cold water, fatty fish, sardines, mackerel, salmon. That fat keeps your thinking clear. It keeps the darkness from settling in. It keeps the machinery of your mind oiled and running. I have watched people lose their minds in their 70s and 80s, and I have watched others stay sharp into their 90s, and the ones who stayed sharp almost always had fish in their diet. That is not a coincidence. That is chemistry. I eat sardines twice a week, right out of the can sometimes, if I am being honest. My granddaughter calls it embarrassing. I call it 103 years old and still knowing all my grandchildren's names and birthdays. Number 4, dark leafy greens, collard greens, mustard greens, kale if you can find it fresh, spinach cooked down in a pan with a little garlic and olive oil until it is soft and dark and smells like something that is genuinely good for you. I grew up with a garden. We grew collards because they were tough, and they came back every year and they fed a family through a winter without much complaint. I did not know then about the vitamin K or the folate or the magnesium. I just knew they were food, and food was not something you wasted or turned your nose up at. What I know now is that those greens are doing work inside your body that no supplement has ever replicated properly. They feed your blood, they feed your bones, they clear your arteries slowly and quietly the way a river clears silt if you give it enough time. I eat greens every single day, cooked, not raw, cooked with fat so your body can absorb what is in them. My mother taught me that, and she lived to 89 in an era when that was extraordinary. Number 5, fermented foods. We did not call it fermented. We called it pickled. Pickled okra, pickled cucumbers, sauerkraut that sat in a crock on the counter and smelled like something alive, because it was alive. Buttermilk straight from the jug. These were not health foods. They were just food, preserved food, food that had been transformed by time and bacteria into something your gut could use. Your gut is the center of everything. I did not know that at 20. I know it at 103. When your gut is right, your mood is right, your sleep is right, your immune system is right. When your gut is wrong, everything is wrong. You are tired and foggy, and your joints ache, and your doctor gives you pills for the symptoms without ever asking what you ate for breakfast. I eat something fermented every day. A spoonful of sauerkraut with my dinner, a small glass of buttermilk in the afternoon. It costs almost nothing. It has kept my digestion working like clockwork for a century. And that is not a small thing. Digestion is life. If your body cannot extract what it needs from food, none of the rest of it matters. Number 6, sweet potatoes. Not white potatoes, sweet potatoes, the orange kind with the dark skin. Baked in the oven until the skin gets a little crisp and the inside is soft and sweet enough that you do not need to put anything on it. Though I put butter on it anyway because I am 103 and I have earned butter. Sweet potatoes were on our table every week growing up. They grew well in Tennessee soil and they kept through the winter and they were sweet enough that children ate them without argument. What I did not know then is that the color, that deep orange, is doing something important. It is beta carotene, which your body turns into vitamin A, which keeps your eyes working and your immune system awake and your skin from falling apart before it's time. I have good skin. People comment on it. I tell them it is the sweet potatoes and the butter and the fact that I never once in my life used soap with a French name that costs $40. They laugh. I am not joking. Number 7, raw honey, local honey, not the honey in the bear-shaped bottle that has been heated and filtered until it is nothing but sugar in a different shape. Real honey, the kind that is still cloudy and thick and smells like flowers and has bits of wax in it if you are lucky. My grandmother kept bees. I kept bees until I was 87 and my hands got too stiff for the gloves. I have had a spoonful of honey every single day for as long as I can remember, in my tea, on my sweet potato, sometimes just off the spoon because I wanted it. Real honey is alive. It has enzymes and pollen and compounds that science keeps discovering and naming and acting surprised about, as though bees have not been making this thing perfectly for 50 million years without any input from a laboratory. It calms inflammation. It feeds the good bacteria in your gut. It has kept itself preserved for thousands of years in Egyptian tombs, which should tell you something about what it does inside a human body. That is my 7. Bone broth, eggs, sardines, dark greens, fermented foods, sweet potatoes, and raw honey. No powders, no programs, no subscription boxes. just food. Food that comes from the earth and has been on human tables since before anyone thought to put it in a package and charge you 3 times what it is worth. But I want to tell you one more thing before I finish, and this is the part that matters most. The food is the fuel, but the engine is something else entirely. I get up every morning with a reason. I have people I love and people who love me, and things I still want to do and see and say. I laugh every day, even when there is not much to laugh at, because laughter is medicine and it is free. I sit on my porch in the evening and I watch the light change and I say thank you out loud to nobody in particular and everybody at once. You can eat everything on my list perfectly and still go early if your heart is full of bitterness and your days are full of nothing you care about. I have seen it. The body follows the spirit. Feed both. Now, go find yourself some eggs and some real honey and stop eating things that come in bags with ingredient lists longer than this video. I have a sweet potato in the oven and it is almost ready. Take care of yourselves.